Bad relationships are not only bad while you're in them, they leave scars that touch every part of your life. They drain you. They take your energy. And I'm talking about relationships with certain kinds of people who show up over and over again in relationships with those of us who grew up with abuse and neglect. And it's this negative feedback loop that if you grew up with these types, who I call energy vampires, we're vulnerable to finding them out in the world and making them our boyfriend or girlfriend or husband or wife or friend with benefits or some out-of-reach limerent object who we just suffer over without even having them in our lives. Energy vampires are horrible because they steal the energy that you would otherwise use to build your life, to grow as a person, to learn things, to make money, to find love, to be healthy, perhaps to have children, to make a difference in the world. And those are the things that you might long for, but the momentum it takes to do great things like that is all spilled away. It's just frittered away or consumed by another person who feeds off it. There really are people who crave what they get by getting involved with people like us who had trauma, who maybe don't have good boundaries, who sometimes are just hurting enough to also crave that draining dynamic, even if it's not entirely conscious. Do you think that's possible? It's as if we offer ourselves up to them. Now, why would we do that? Why would they do that? And if this has happened to you before, how can you spot energy vampires from 50 yards off so they never get into your life and drain you ever again? So let's talk about who they are. Not all energy vampires are trying to rob you of your life force. Some are just damaged people who can't help but try to get energy from other people. Some people do it on purpose. Like, that's a form of what I call romantic shoplifting. The romantic shoplifter variety of energy vampire includes people who are deceptive. They figure out what you're looking for and then they enthusiastically play the part so that they can get you where they want you. Admiring them, being vulnerable with them, shedding all your boundaries and abandoning yourself in favor of them, surrendering. Now, if you pair together an aggressively self-seeking person and a traumatized person, you can get this surrender to happen like in a single evening, right? The traumatized person will read this as, oh, it's love at first sight, it's destiny, only to find out the next morning that nothing that was said and done the night before was sincere or real. Now, if you've ever been left in the dust like that, think back to how you felt and how drained it left you of confidence, of your personal power, of any kind of hope at all. It doesn't exactly work like this, but it's as if the person who did this took that energy of yours and they took it into themselves. So now they feel a double dose of confidence and optimism. They're swollen now with the power that only hours before was your power. What is that power you lose in these interactions? You don't think about it. The power of your own being, your dignity, your power to choose, your potential, your path. And when you let an energy vampire into your life, that power becomes dimmed and dented and drained. So that's a romantic shoplifter kind of energy vampire. Another kind is a long-term deceiver. And this could be the spouse who secretly cheats on you and takes the energy of all that you would one day otherwise have built together, who takes that, and also the daily, warmth, the listening, the attention that you were meant to enjoy over the dinner table together. They take that, it was yours, it was rightfully yours, because that's what a marriage is. You sort of give each other that sort of daily energy. You share that together, and they give it to somebody else. So it could be an affair, could be a pattern of flirting and making you jealous. Maybe you don't know about it, but that energy is gone. And the energy they're taking from you is your good faith, your steady partner energy. They take that energy and then also go take someone else's energy for the exciting part. And that someone else might be the victim of like my first example, who's been persuaded that this huge and sudden great love has appeared in their lives overnight, not realizing that tomorrow they're going to be drained too. An energy vampire could be a partner who's abusive, physically or emotionally, who gets energy from everything that happens, not only during the abuse, maybe not even during the abuse, but afterward. Now, it's true that some people enjoy hurting other people. That's true. But there are also those who are addicted to that recovery period that follows cruel behavior. The cruelty for them could be driven by, a frustrated buildup of anger or emptiness. Then they lash out, and the recovery period will soon begin, the return to intimacy. And there's this moment there between, the cruelty and the reconciliation that has this light and floaty weightlessness. And people get addicted to that feeling. It's like a zero gravity flight where the plane goes way up and then drops straight down for a minute. And right at the top there's this release, this lightness, especially if they're confident that you're not going to leave them despite what they did. Up, down. And energy vampires, they love to argue. Having an argument brings on something inside them that's like a cool rain after a hot storm. They hurt you and scatter all your expectations of them for a little spell. But for them, that's like hitting a reset button. Takes the pressure off. I get letters from people about all of these patterns. But the one I see the most is from people, mostly women, but also men, who have lost their energy to the first kind of vampire I described, the one who stirs up your romantic energy so they can jam a straw in it and drink it from you and then leave. And it makes me think of a lemon. And actually I just learned this. I don't know if you know this, but before you cut a lemon in half to juice it, you can actually smash the lemon, crush it a little bit, roll it on the counter and squish it, and it ruptures all the little cells inside. And so then when you cut the lemon, you barely have to squeeze. It just kind of pours right out. It's like the lemon just gives its juice to you. And that rolled lemon is like someone raised with trauma. They meet someone who wants to feed off their energy, and it's just sitting there for them. They're just like a crushed lemon. Is it always so evil when people do this to another person? No, not. It's not always intentional. If it is, yeah, that's evil. It's often, though, someone who is traumatized themselves, and they're stealing energy because they don't know any other way to stop the pain that they're feeling inside. They want love and connection, right? Everybody does. But they're not capable of showing up for that or creating it. And it comes out as good intentions, and they just can't follow up on it. And it can be triggered by people pleasing, saying, oh, I love you, this is going to be great. They can see that you want to be admired and loved for a little while, and they can't help but produce that for you. They make it happen, but they just can't sustain it. They can't stick around. Or maybe they carry hurt and shame inside, and wooing you is a high that gives them a break from those dark feelings. Now, I'm not excusing it at all. I'm just saying sometimes people who steal energy are like a hungry person stealing bread. Sometimes they're intensity junkies, the intensity of instant romance, even though logically they know it'll turn into loneliness tomorrow. For right now, it feels an emptiness inside, and it's an emptiness that was unbearable. They wanted a vacation from it at any cost. They may have too many problems to really show up in a relationship or to tolerate the responsibility of another person. So the romantic hit job on you is all they can get, and they take what they can get. They take it. A lot of people who feed off the energy of other people dress up their actions with a lot of BS about, just being cool or open-minded and not possessive and no expectations, or they don't like definitions and labels around relationships. You can dress it up in 100 ways, but their logic for taking and not giving back will always make it feel to the person whose energy they're taking, that, whoa, they're the ones being selfish and uncool. And that's why people with childhood PTSD can so easily end up getting manipulated and losing their energy in relationships because they're conditioned to second guess themselves. When something doesn't feel right to you, what are the odds that you're just going to think, well, it's probably just me. And then you'll talk yourself out of setting a boundary. You'll stay connected to this person who's taking your energy, and you'll attack yourself instead for feeling bad. Now, if that's your pattern, energy vampires will gravitate to you. You're just their type. Occasionally, they might be people who enjoy hurting others. Such people exist, but in my observation, it's mostly just one kind of hurt person connecting in a broken way with another hurt person. Nobody really wins, but one thing's for sure, you need your energy back. You need that energy. That's yours. So why do you end up with energy vampires? Why, when what you want is a sincere and lasting and reciprocal relationship, do you keep finding yourself getting love bombed and then discarded? I have no doubt that people who get drained like this had a pattern stamped into their little spirits when they were small by parents who couldn't give them what they needed. And what's done is done. It might be good if you know how you got this way, but it usually doesn't change the problem at hand, which is that you haven't yet changed your pattern. So let's ask a different question and see if that helps. What is it about this dynamic, at least at the beginning, that keeps drawing you to energy vampires? Is there something irresistibly attractive about someone who is out to take your energy? Is there some sort of freedom from responsibility in that? Do you have a blind spot that makes it hard for you to see the signs in advance that this person is just stirring up your energy like the crushed lemon? Is it possible that, just like the vampire, you love the high of the insta-romance, but you struggle with the parts of courtship and dating that take time and patience and effort and discernment and compromise and boundaries? So you're quick to just, take the good feeling wherever you can get it and run with it, knowing on some level that it's going to drain you. I can't answer these questions for you, but they're good questions to ask. And every time you can identify the role that you play in creating draining dynamics, you take back your power a little bit. Finding the role you play is half the battle, and healing can begin when you find it. So if you want to hear more about what I teach about finding and healing the attraction to people who can't love you back in one form or another, I've got this video lined up for you right here, and I will see you very soon.